Yeah, look, and I'm not a maxi. I'm pro all crypto, just to be clear. And I hope they all do well, and I think they will long term. For Bitcoin, the kind of the trend that tends to happen is when we get a pump to Bitcoin, everything else kind of bleeds, and that's NFTs, that's other cryptos, that's even Ethereum. Less so, but the money tends to get sucked into Bitcoin, and if things like an ETF, do happen, that'll be heavily focused around Bitcoin in the next sort of narrative. And with the Bitcoin halving company coming, I think we could definitely see other things bleed. I hope it doesn't, but it is possible, coming forward, that we see a lot of attention go towards Bitcoin again. And that tends to, and that could kick off a next bull run for crypto. So that's not a bad thing. And then eventually the money kind of goes up to Bitcoin and spreads out to sort of other things. It tends to be what happens.
This expert believes that Bitcoin is going to dominate for the foreseeable future whilst other cryptos bleed. Brian D. Evans believes that investors are making a mistake if their focus is on any other digital asset that's not Bitcoin. For those that don't know Brian, he is an award-winning serial entrepreneur, a wildly successful online marketer, and is the current CEO and founder of BDE Ventures, a venture fund that specializes in Web3. In his latest interview, he argues that Bitcoin is going to outperform other digital assets, including Ethereum, for the foreseeable future. His main argument is that historically leading into the Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin outperforms other cryptocurrencies. Also, the Bitcoin halving is going to be the dominant narrative for the next 10 months, and finally, a successful spot Bitcoin ETF will be like rocket fuel for the Bitcoin price. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where Brian breaks down one area in crypto and Web3 he thinks is the biggest opportunity for investors, and trust me, I think his answer will surprise you. Also guys, if you want to stay most up to date on the crypto world, I send out a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter that covers expert predictions, on-chain data breakdowns, and breaking news, all for free. Click the first link in the description, enter your email, and join over 3,000 others to become a better crypto investor right now. Now here's Brian Evans and his Bitcoin thesis.
I think this ETF narrative is really getting people's attention right now. And I think that plus the halving coming up next year, let's say it's around May of 2024, roughly, when the rewards change for Bitcoin, that tends to be a bullish event. And it's kind of painted this positive narrative right now. So yeah, it's a lot of focus is going back to Bitcoin. There's also a lot of happening in the ordinals and Satoshi space, the SAT space. For people that don't know, those are essentially blocks of Bitcoin that have different rarities that can now be, you can go back and check your Bitcoin and see what blocks you have. So you could have a rare block or an uncommon block that can actually be worth money, in addition to the Bitcoin itself. So there's a lot happening in that space. You can inscribe either names, you can do like brian.sats, and you can inscribe images and logos, kind of like NFTs on Bitcoin. So there's other narratives happening with Bitcoin right now that people don't realize, that the mainstream doesn't realize, but the sort of the insiders of the crypto world are seeing this, and they're kind of, their eyes are blowing up, and everyone's looking around at each other saying, whoa, this is something new happening with Bitcoin that could drive another bull run with these kind of three things happening. So I think, yeah, with this ETF narrative of money potentially going to Bitcoin, in the SAT space, and on top of that, the Bitcoin halving itself is historically over the years tends to be a very bullish event. So yeah, it's there's always market macro factors that could crush all of this, right? So that's always a possibility of things just get pushed down longer. But this institutional kind of adoption, potentially led by ETFs, could be, another huge run for crypto here. Could be a problem. It will depend on people's long-term views of this. If they think Bitcoin's still going to $1 million, people might just bite the bullet and keep going anyways, keep mining, right? I don't see it as a death of Bitcoin if that does happen. I think people will be willing to sort of invest and see the long-term outlook. Just saying, okay, markets are down right now. Yeah, we could see a reduction in mining for sure, but I don't think it's going to kill it by any means.
So there's no existential threat to Bitcoin right now?
I don't see one. I think it's proven now long enough. We've seen all the threats over the years, in different ways, kind of in market macro conditions and things like that. But I don't see necessarily an existential crisis on hand. Correlation, being uncorrelated, I don't see that as a bad thing, because the argument against crypto for a long time, and Bitcoin, et cetera, was that, oh, it's just correlated, it's just going up and down with the markets, and I actually see I see a decoupling being a positive event. I would hope long term people realize that this is a completely separate thing than stocks and traditional markets, Bitcoin, and other cryptos, obviously. To me, I see it as a very positive event, to not be coupled with the regular markets. If it takes a little bit longer, but ends up going a lot higher than regular markets, maybe that's a positive thing. I mean, I think, I think first and foremost, it's Bitcoin. We look for innovation in Bitcoin, but I think the beauty of Bitcoin is that the system just works great how it is. So we don't need innovation in Bitcoin itself. We can have innovation around the broader crypto space, maybe in Ethereum. It's more combustible and things like that to build on top of Ethereum. So I think you'll see a lot more innovation perhaps on the Ethereum side, and maybe that's a good thing for Bitcoin as well, because it's just so tried and proven to be the savings, so to speak, of crypto, and just the safest, and that's probably the bull case for it, is that it doesn't have a lot of additional things that can be done with it, that it just works so well how it is. You hear about hacks and all these other things with other cryptos and other chains, and that's because they are innovating in different ways and pushing the limits of what's possible, and it becomes a bad thing in some cases. I personally just think Bitcoin how it is great. It's cool to see what's happening with the sats, because it creates a collector narrative. I want to go out and collect those rare blocks right now. So I'm looking around trying to figure out how to get these rare blocks. There could be one thing that's possible, and we're seeing a metaverse narrative, generally speaking, in the crypto space and beyond, obviously. But Bitcoin itself with these blocks, you can actually create a metaverse, essentially. So we could see, different implementations of metaverses and, on that side as well with Bitcoin. So that could be an additional kind of use case. But I'm not counting on that. I think Bitcoin, just how it is, to be clear, is perfectly fine and well, and we don't need the innovation. Payments, yeah, it'd be cool if with maybe Lightning, et cetera, payments could be a little bit better, faster with Bitcoin, but I don't think it has to be. I think we can use other forms of crypto for that if need be. And it's easy enough at this point to swap in and out of cryptos. So I just think unfortunately there's a within the crypto world, there's maxis that kind of, I'm only a Bitcoin person, I'm only an ETH person. I'm kind of an every crypto person. I want them all to succeed. I think when the mainstream looks in, and I learned this on the TV show we filmed recently, when the mainstream looks in the normies, so to speak, when they see all this infighting within the crypto world, it kind of paints a bad picture. So I'm pro most of the cryptos, and the non-scammy ones anyways. Bitcoin, Ethereum, et cetera. I'm pro all of them. So I think, and I hope more people kind of realize that it's just shooting ourselves in the foot if we're so maxi in one direction. Yeah, I mean, I think, Web3 gaming. In many ways, Web3 gaming, I was filming this TV show recently called The Next Crypto Gem. It comes out in about a month. Hearing from a lot of normies and sort of, people that aren't, familiar with the crypto space, perhaps, it clicked in my mind that I've always been a proponent of Web3 gaming, but gaming in general. Because here's an interesting fact about gaming, and this might be obvious for some, not obvious for others. More people play video games than watch TV on a global scale. So that's how big the gaming.
Yeah, I mean, the gaming industry, I think by revenue, is bigger than TV and movies and music combined.
Yeah. So it's an absolutely massive industry. There's been lots of transitions. This is why for gaming, think about games early on, the Mario Brothers days. It was a closed loop game that you basically played for a while, then you died, and you game over. Okay, I'm done now. I'm gonna get some popcorn. I'm gonna stop playing. The next evolution of games was they had open loop games where they just go on forever. The Candy Crushes of the world, the Flappy Birds, etc., where the game just keeps going and there's infinite levels basically. Then they made online games, connected games, where we could play a game together remotely. I'm here in LA, you're somewhere else, and we could play, over the internet, Call of Duty or something. And MMORPGs, role-playing games, etc., all online connected worlds as well. The next evolution of games is this idea of owning parts of those assets, because the player agency, meaning and AI ties into this, the ability to, the NPCs, the characters in the games, they could, with AI now, they could go look at your profile online, create a whole new story based on you. and the entire game could change around you using AI. So players are much more connected to the game than they ever were before. But when you become that character, when you're playing these games, you, in many ways, you start to see yourself as these characters, right? And you want to own a piece of that. So ownership is the next level of gaming, where you want to own, as an NFT or whatever, these assets in these games. So the character, in Web 2 world, you never saw somebody representing, putting their Call of Duty picture or a Fortnite picture as their profile picture. In Web 3, you see it all the time. So the virality of Web 3 is just that much greater. In fact, most people don't know this story, but Vitalik, before he created Ethereum, he was playing World of Warcraft. And he quit World of Warcraft because they made changes to his character that he didn't like. And he went on to create Ethereum. A lot of the concepts from gaming made it to Ethereum. So for instance, soulbound tokens are concepts in video games where you have a token or an item that's locked to your soulbound items. They're locked to your account. You can't change them. You can't trade them or give them to anybody else. There's a concept in Ethereum called soulbound tokens where they're locked to your wallet. You're the only one that could own them. Even the smart contracts themselves in Ethereum are kind of similar to games, where they have a set of rules that the players have to play by, and there's only a certain number of changes and things that can happen. So a lot of these concepts from gaming actually made it to Ethereum, coincidentally. And then, as we're seeing now, a lot of builders moving towards Web3 gaming, there's a huge narrative now of Web2 AAA, meaning the top quality of games building in the Web3 space. We're even seeing metaverses being created by like Epic Games and others, but there's a lot of small to mid-level builders building in this space as well. Combine that with AI, with AI now, it's so good that it's democratizing the ability to create games. Games are very expensive to build. But now with an AI tool, I can draw a level just like this with basically like a 5-year-old would, and the AI will fill it in. Window over here, door over here, pathway here, and the AI will just fill it in. I can say I want it to look like a dungeon in whatever, and it'll fill in the level and just create it for me, and then I can do that into an infinite degree. So the combination of these tools really creates a very strong case for games to really break out in this Web3 kind of ecosystem. And that's the great thing about, crypto really democratizes investing, which is great. You can buy these tokens and you can buy these digital assets in many ways, right? So I remember years ago trying to invest into games or just any kind of tech pre-IPO or early stage, and it was very difficult. If you don't know somebody or have a massive net worth, good luck. And this is even still true today for the most part. But with crypto and tokens, you can go on a decentralized platform and just do it right now. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need anything other than a little bit of money. So I think that's the great part about all this, is that anybody can kind of get into it as these games and different platforms come out. So it really democratizes the ability to hold these assets.
So there's Brian D. Evans, the award-winning serial entrepreneur, online marketing whiz, and CEO and founder of BDE Ventures. Brian makes a strong case for Bitcoin's dominance in the foreseeable future over other digital assets. According to Brian, the upcoming Bitcoin halving, historical precedents, and the potential for a successful spot Bitcoin ETF all point towards a future where Bitcoin outshines its counterparts, including Ethereum. Most notably, Brian left us with his thoughts on the biggest opportunity in the crypto and Web3 domain, being gaming. And he does have a point. Gaming is a massive industry, bigger than movies, television, and music all combined together. Blockchain and artificial intelligence have so many synergies with gaming that the opportunity does seem obvious. If you guys want to stay up to date with the latest in the crypto world, subscribe to our 5-minute free crypto newsletter. It brings you expert predictions, comprehensive on-chain data analysis, breaking news, and more, all for free. Click the first link in the description, enter your email, and join our growing community of over 3,000 crypto enthusiasts. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.